Yeah. Okay, great.
Yep. Thanks everyone. And I think just maybe Rodas, you can also just paste the question just for so we're a lot more the presentations. It's not a presentation per se, it's more actually what you're kind of doing and thinking. And in particular, where I would be interested is that for us to see if we understand some of like what we have observed so far in our research, in our implementation, and what were you able to achieve in one day. So in a way, I think one of the feeling that I have is that I think people may be thinking that a one day today is the same as a one day last year, and that's not. I think in principle one can think of a one day today to almost a 3 months like some time ago, right? So we want to just self-analyze also ourselves, like what were we able to do in one day, and so that we can just actually compare and take note with respect to expectations, as well as also with respect to what other people could actually achieve in that day. And a lot of the challenge of the current era, in my understanding, is in these questions as well, which is basically like sometimes just a complexity. So this is a cognitive depth, that it's just that you have some ideas, some things that are just not gut filled, and you haven't, maybe you're kind of like almost always a decision point. Do you just go and research about it? Do you just postpone it so that you know it later, and then you forget it later, but you still didn't understand it as well? And so it's kind of that part that becomes like a cognitive date, in such a way that you have overloads of things to know, even if they are very easy to know. I mean, just if you search them, you know them, but you haven't found yet a pattern to just know them like on the fly while you are, I don't know, doing other things, unrelated things. So just to be able to help that, basically make it transparent, and make it also just for us to comment each other, that part of like understanding what have you understood, what you haven't understood, assuming that if you want to understand it, it actually is very easy. So I don't think there's any concept that you cannot understand these days if you want to understand it, right? So it's a matter of really, just simply, in my opinion, it's a matter of time, right? It's a matter of managing your way of work. So in certain way of work, then you know more, and a certain way of work, if you are sequential in your processing, then you basically just don't have time. But if you are asynchronous and you have many places you have set up your environment very well, in principle, that means like every moment is productive, without cognitively overloading you. So it's kind of then seeing what other people are doing, is important. So, but then other things are just, everything is also ultimately a decision. So that means even something to know is a decision, right? Something to then, whether to research it or not is a decision. To delegate it or not is a decision. To change a screen versus to keep in that same screen and do exactly what you do, is a decision. To know that actually you can use your own IDE as also a knowledge base is a decision. To actually build the first skills so that you can actually oversimplify lots of things like that comes repeatedly, that's a decision. So everything is a decision. So in principle, really, you have to be aware of decisions you make and decisions you don't make. So decisions you make only are not sufficient. It's important that you also know that decisions you don't make. So in that case, what were the type of the decisions you make, the decisions or the kind of accepts, when you accept also for LLM suggestions of any pattern in architecture, and any decisions you make, whether a decision to iterate or not. So kind of that is important. So we want to just also highlight that aspect. And so basically, one other element I would say is, I kind of like remove any concept of blocker. I don't believe there is blocker other than blockers. The only blockers that could have happened now is, let's say, not having resource. but that's more than a blocker. That's just absence. We can't solve it, therefore it's not a blocker, right? So in that sense, in the era of AI, I don't think the term blocker matters like as much, because there's no blocker in really true sense. What actually would be important is that how you have now managed in that transition from the old type of being blocked, not knowing something, not having clarity. So that older concept of blocker to like the newer concept of like fluid and basically, grooving. It was like just a smooth handling of different aspects, context change and stuff like that. So I think we haven't found a name yet. So let's call it just anything that's a flow that you haven't found a flow in that sense. Okay. So I think just if you don't understand even what I say now, if something is not clear, in my head, it's clear, and how I communicate it for some people, it may be clear for some people. Make sure every question you ask is also helpful for others. So it's while helping you, you're also helping others. So, feel free to ask. So with that, let's just, go through kind of presenting, focus on the work more than on your state. So I feel that part is good, but right now for this particular part, we want to just say what you have make decision that improves the work, what things that you have done that's related to the work in itself, right? So the systems you become, for example, okay, this part I didn't understand because, and then this is affecting this part of the work. So almost always try to relate it to how it affects positively or negatively the work, right? So, and again, if it's not something clear, make sure, just let me know. So who wants to start? And almost always I was hoping every time I come here, I'm hoping when I say this, there is like basically 50 hands raised. So, that's my expectation. Yeah, Johannes.
Okay, awesome. Can you hear me?
Yep, we can hear clearly.
Okay, so it's a bit a challenge to be a starter in these situations.
Good. Be proud. I think I see you a couple of times starting, and that's really wonderful.
Okay, awesome. So the first question, based on just understanding the whole architecture, I think I'm in a good situation after spending 1 or 2 days in doing all the research. So I think I have the idea of the architecture. I'm just trying to have a breakdown and trying to criticize the agent implementation step by step. That's one. That's what I'm doing. I'm currently like kind of trying to understand and implement the tool usage, to make the agents use tools, have a custom tools that are going to be provided by packages and such. I want to, have a robust tool architecture for the agents. That's the current concept that I'm currently struggling and trying to implement.
So let me ask you there, because you are saying things, but in my opinion, less information. The reason is because you're not highlighting actually what decisions you made and what actually how long that it takes you for that decision, right? So I'm expecting exactly what you're saying. For me, just sounds like a 2 minutes work. So what is the one that is, let's say, describe something that is a work of a 4 hours work, or 2 hours work?
Yeah, it kind of feels like a short work, but you got into problems. You just tell it the AI to add these tools, and somehow it breaks down. I need to kind of like do my own research and
Great. So give example. That's for example information, right? So that's what I call information. So give more examples. So for example, what was that particular instance? What were you trying to do, and what happened?
Yeah, awesome. For example, I had a tool called analysis, like to do analysis of a doc, and somehow the module I was using was hallucinating and like giving me an error saying I don't know this tool, and I had my code has to inject uh, and prompt it to say the tool, and also I had to have
So,
a list of
okay, so
required tools.
let's zoom in there because I think what you are saying is useful. So you are saying for your ID agent, you are asking it create a tool or like give me an architecture of a tool, and then it was kind of telling you that it doesn't know that tool, or what happened?
No, I have the agent code, like the code base. I have built some of the architecture, and when I run the architecture, it's not like using the tool. It's hallucinating and saying that I don't know the tool that he was supposed to be using, and the code has to be updated and force the use of
Where
the
in the
tool.
code do you have to like, so in this case, is it an architectural issue or is it a prompt issue? How did you identify it?
It's kind of bug. It's already built a code. It has architecture, and when you implement the architecture, there should be a code forcing the LLM to use the code. So that part, either it was missing. I mean, you don't have to specify everything on the architecture. So I would say it's an implementation issue.
Okay. Okay. So as far as I'm understanding, who is supposed to instruct? So like, what's your prompt supposed to be? So how are you testing it? So are you testing it step by step? What's your testing mechanism? You implement a tool and then you kind of particularly just ask it to analyze. You give it a document and say, okay, now let's test the usage of this tool. So use that tool. Is that how you do it, or what's the how is the process, the flow? Okay,
The
I think maybe yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
Go on.
Let's
Maybe
let's
Rodas,
cover.
let's stop it. Let that one is too much.
Uh,
Okay, go on.
this is interesting. Like what's happening is like the testing is all done by the agent, by my ID, luckily. So it runs it, and somehow it doesn't pick that one. It doesn't like it overlooks the fact that the agent is not using the tool. So I have to go manually and have to identify the error myself, because my agent is somehow not picking up the shortcoming. That's
Okay,
what actually happened. Yeah.
so you give it a task. So how is the flow, for example, just from you, like the agent starting to the agent ending? What happens?
I give it architecture, the Git specs tasks. It implemented it, and it also tested it themselves, and it said like everything is fine. I look into the trace, and in the trace, I got the hallucination of not using the tool, and I
Okay,
have
now
to tell
I'm
the
confused. Now I'm very confused. So are you while building? Are you talking about while building or while executing? So are you
what.
building while you build that you have that issue, or once the code is built, then when you try to evaluate the build code, evaluate, grade something that it's not using tool? Which one is it?
Yes, that's one. Yeah, when it's evaluating the code is not using a tool.
Okay, and so that's my question is that how do you start? Like, how do you start? What is your start to start evaluating?
Sorry.
So if you just show us maybe like screen share and what's
Mm.
like how it starts. Like let's say you're evaluating a document and a GitHub. So how do you insert it?
I like my current implementation. I just give it a GitHub link, and it clones it. I mean, I can do that, but it will take some time.
No,
It will
it's
take
okay.
some
So
time.
I want this. Okay, so you start there and then it's doing, and then you're looking the logs, right?
Mhm. Yeah.
Okay, and then in that log, you discover that the tool, the analysis tool, is not being called. And analysis tool is supposed to be called by which agent?
I had an agent that analyzes a dog, and the analyzing agent is hallucinating and not calling a tool.
And I think let's call it not hallucinating for now, just so that you know, it is probably not, yeah, it's not received, like it didn't think that it's not necessary to evaluate, right? So, or
Uh,
it could just be it doesn't actually have a tool registered. So there could be a lot of
yes,
reasons.
yes.
So
The
that
bug
may not be
was like
100%.
he was thinking like the tool was not the existence, and I somehow have included a code to give it a list of tools to use.
Okay. Okay. So now the thing is great. So how, what is your debug mechanism? Like, so in this case, like immediately, how long does it take you to catch this issue?
Yeah, I mean, if they had somehow picked it up, it would have like been 2 minutes. But like I had to go all the traces, see the traces and such, and find out the exact problem. So this
So
whole process took some
where
time.
were you looking the trace? So where is the trace? Is it in the code, in the log file, in Langsmith? Where is it?
Yeah, Langsmith, yes.
So it was easier than just, so you could just go all the calls that happened by the agents, and so you were able to just see it. Okay. So have you improved how you observe, like how you look at the trace in the Langsmith window? I mean, there are many things that are happening, input, outputs, and stuff.
Yeah, that was a great learning experience. I'm using for the first time Langsmith, and I have somehow to figure out this all, and it took some time because it was like for the first time of using the tool.
Okay. So nowadays, what is it taking you? What is taking more time? Is it,
Just yeah, learning the tools. Yeah,
so it's
learning
just
basically.
tracing and kind of seeing and ensuring that something works? Okay, great.
Exactly.
Thanks.
Yeah.
Okay, thanks, Johannes. Okay, Yosef?
Hello, am I audible?
Yeah, you are audible.
Okay, okay.
So
So,
just to simplify for you as well, just the questions are a lot more about, what are the kind of knowledge gaps that you have discovered or understood that's kind of affecting the work progression, and how long is it taking you to kind of fill those gaps, and how much work are you doing in a day, or kind of you can consider it in an hour, and then also what type of decisions have you made and are you making, so just along that line.
okay. So my first decision was understanding the architecture and how the graph flows from the start to the end. So once I understand the
So,
graph,
so let me ask you then there, what did you use? Like how fast and what tools, what decisions do you make to understand that? Like, did you consider the amount of time you spend there, and could that be improved? So more like, tell us a little bit about that. Make it.
okay. So yeah, the first thing I do was uh, grasping the concepts of the line graph and how the graph works. So I saw some YouTube videos and grasp how the graph flows. That was like an hour long. Then I practice a little on building some graphs from that YouTube video. Then I went to the documents and try to understand how the graph flows and how the layers are expected. Then I give that document to ChatGPT to analyze it and to make it better understand. And I also use a tool Maplify, a website that make a mind map of the document, so I clearly understand which component goes to which. So then the next step was building the file structure. I go to my code agent and create the files in the folder structure. So after creating the folder structure, first what I do was building like simple functions without implementation. just to see how the graph flows and if I can get the graph correctly and without any error. So after I I finally built the graph, I went to the first node in the first layer in the first tool. So I went to build like to the atomic level. So the first I think was the repo investigator, and in the repo investigator node. So in that there are three. Yeah, in the first layer, in the detective layer, there are three nodes. So parallel nodes, which are the repo investigator, the doc analyst, and the video inspector. And in the repo investigator node, there are three tools. So the first is like cloning the repo and then analyzing it. So the first thing I do was successfully cloning the repo and creating a temp folder and analyze it. So with having this all the other functions like structure only, I tested the code and it returns by reading the repo. So then I build step by step, adding up one tool at a time and building up to the app. That was my decision.
Great. So how long did it take you? So in this process, for example, how long did it take you to get to the first point where you had, you had to test? So like this process, what you told us now, how long was it taking?
The process, this one was, I don't know, maybe it's a one-night process.
Okay.
A one-night process. But the blocker was, I was trying to implement a spec-driven spec using the spec kit, but building each file takes my token much, and also I have to be very specific for the specific in the plans, in the constitution, and so on. So trying that takes much time, and it doesn't output great. I didn't get great output, so I switched to what I told you. So that takes my time. Yeah, that's
good. And so at current point, so how do you feel, and what is your system doing? What's able to do? Like, what is, at which stage is it?
Okay, could I show the?
Yeah, sure.
Okay. Okay. So this is what I told you before. So this is a graph I built on here. So there's a context builder which gives the rubric to these three nodes. And what I talked about is the repo investigator. So the repo investigator, here are the tools, the repo tools. So it verifies, this is the tool that verifies if the states are found in source and graph. And here it's Git narrative. It's sees the commits, if they are monolithic or bulk, or it's show clear progress, and it's iterative. And here is a tool, the first tool I create for cloning the repo sandbox. So these are the tools.
So by sandbox now, so in the future, what's your decision here? So what's current versus what's in the future? So you are creating it in the temporary directory. So and then you run it. Okay, great. But what's your, if you were to run this thing in parallel, what would be the issue here?
running file.
So, I mean, it's fine. I'm just more like curious in all of, when you look at all of this. So do you see like more like, okay, like, so here is, I have a technical debt that just is like, maybe that it will fill my, if I am cloning a lots of files, then it might just be that I have to be able to clean up as well. Like, so is it cleaning up like when it finishes, or does it just only clone?
It cleans up. It doesn't put it on the file systems. It cloned it and make the file in temporary folder in temp file, and after the code runs, it doesn't put here in the operating system.
Okay, let's continue. Yeah, okay.
Then here is the detective, the repo investigator. So here it calls the three tools: the verify state structure, analyze the graph wirings, and the Git narratives. So it takes the agent state, which is created here, and then so it returns as evidence the Git forensic analysis and the state management, which is if the states are present in the Git orchestration and if the tools are safe. So after this, so here is the graph. So when building the graph, here are the context reader, I don't know, and I connect the edges. So I built the graph in a scripts file here, scripts file. In the initial status, I give it my own repo and my own report. So I invoke the initial state to the graph. Then I got this thing. So the keys for the evidence, the keys are this: the repo URL, the PDF file, the rubric dimension, the evidence. So I focused on the evidence. So the evidence keys are theoretical depth, report accuracy, Git forensic analysis, state management, and so on. So I tried to output the, for example, the Git forensic. So here it analyzes. Is it visible?
Yeah, it is.
Okay, so analyze Git history narrative for it, and so it found it true. Here are the contexts, which are the Git commits, and after reading the Git commit, the rationale is detected 26 commits here. So it detects that the 26 commits, and the history shows progress. So this is the confidence 0.9. So, and report accuracy is true. The location which found is here, and the theoretical depths, found true. The report explains direct synthesis, funny name found out, brief summary. Here it implemented the brief summary. And here the state management verify existence of type state in Drigo from typing. So it's shows how I used the type dicts and the Python dict. So this is my progress.
Excellent. Okay, great.
Okay.
Thanks. If anyone has question to ask as well, just feel free. So where is now, like, so for example, when you are completing, where do you notice issues and what can be improved?
Yeah, in the doc analyst, I was trying using Gemini, and it doesn't work because of the code. So I have to manually use a hacking base Hugging Face embeddings and so on. So the Dukhanists, the reports are not much accurate based on the rubrics. So I have planned on making it more correct. That's one thing I would do.
And if I give you other rubrics, can your code handle completely different rubrics?
Yeah, I think
Most
yes.
of the rubrics kind of self-coded, like kind of coded, hard to code it, or are they templated?
Yeah, I have tried to use context manager to use the rubric.
Okay.
That is my plan.
Okay. Good. Any other question? If not, I think then we can go to Johannes. Thanks, Yosef.
Okay.
Okay, can you hear me?
Yeah, we can hear you, Johannes.
Okay, thank you. So how are you, everyone? Good morning. So for the first question, to answer the question of the day, the part of the system I'm still figuring out is the latent behavior of the fan-in synchronization. So basically, we have three different detective agents running at the same time to find evidence. So my challenge is making sure that when they all finish and try to write their findings to the notebook at once, they don't trip over each other or overwrite important data. I'm using something called reducers to merge their notes, but I'm really focused on making sure the data stays clean. My guess is that as we audit bigger projects, the sheer amount of data might slow things down. So I'm working on a sync point to double check everything before we move on. So for the part two, or the big decision and my priorities, so that leads to a big decision for the final submission. I was able to submit my interim submission. So we have a prosecutor and a defense agent who score the code. If one gives a high score and the other gives a low one, the system can't just flip a coin. So I have decided to prioritize the Chief Justice logic. Instead of just adding more features, I'm focusing on a system where the Chief Justice steps in whenever the scores are too far apart to settle, and based strictly on the evidence. So it's all about making sure the final report is based on facts, not just an AI's vibe for the day. So latest wins and next steps. Since our last meeting, I have made some great progress on our feedback. I updated our state to have tighter limits, like making sure confidence scores are strictly between 0 and 1, so they're easier to read. So yeah, that's my update for today.
Yeah. Okay. So in terms of, for example, the modularity, so if you change models, does your system can handle, for example, from Gemini to Cloud or from Open Router, like you want to use some models, is that part of your thinking? Another one is that how long are things taking you, and where is your time being spent mostly?
Okay, so for the models part, yeah, I think because I haven't tried the models yet. I haven't tried the API keys. I just when everything is given to the code, it will give the evidence. It will give the evidence keys as doc analysis, repo analysis, and vision analysis. So that's what I'm at right now. So for the models, I'm just trying it out. So I have
what are you using? So the question is that, are you using LangChain kind of wrappers? Are you using light LLM, or are you building your own LLM wrapper?
No, I'm using LangChain.
So that means you can actually, in principle, if you plan them, if it's part of your architecture, because LangChain provides lots of wrappers, then you can be able to create a multi-LLM wrapper.
Yes, yes.
And where is your time being spent, and where do you find, the time is, time is taking?
Okay, so for the time research, it didn't take me that much time, to be honest, because I had a prompt in mind that makes it so clear. So I gave the document to ChatGPT, and using my prompt, I was able to understand what is intended to be built. So I got with the idea of the project or the research part very clearly, or in a reasonable time. So yesterday was where I started actually implementing the project. So it didn't take me like half a day to submit my interim submission. So yeah, I think I'm assigning a good amount of time for everything. I think so.
Yeah, no, I mean, I think more than that, I'm just kind of asking actually, what amount of work can you do in 1 hour? And which means if it is making you free, what amount of decisions and what amount of, like, let's say, focus on the lineage or on the output tracing, or on ensuring modularity, or kind of going beyond and above, when you have time. So how much of the time is being spent where? It's like saying, is it just the code building, the architecture, the testing? Is that the one, or is that the thinking? Is that, okay, like you go through some of the outputs, and then you kind of are, or where is it taking time?
So my time is mostly taking it on iterating, because
Okay.
I try something and I iterate until I get what it's intended.
Okay.
If I get the question right, I think that's
Yeah, so it's still, I'm not still sure how much are you doing in 1 hour. Like, so if you will quantify now, your productive 1 hour, what amount of work usually spent? Of course, in some hours, that's just you have a bug you need to fix, or it's not coming. But in your productive time, what are you able to do? So for example, do the whole code, did you do it in 1 hour? And then the other 10 hours you did more and kind of fixing and doing. So what's the kind of
yeah.
on the time allocations, how as it runs, not as you planned?
Okay, so the time allocation, it is like I'm like spending 2 hours for a single phase on the project. There are phases, implementation, and on the implementation curriculum part. So I'm like spending 2 hours for every phase. I think that's it.
Okay, good. And that means, like, were you not able to then 2 hours in every phase? So that basically how many phases it has? Couldn't you then finish in 1 hour? Why? Sorry, in 1 day. So why is it? Why do you think it takes? What other work requires the 1 week?
Okay, so yesterday I was just focused on submitting the interim project. So like after I'm done, I didn't go forward. But I think today and tomorrow I'll be able to finish the whole project, because if I proceed with my speed right now, I will be able to finish it today or tomorrow. So Saturday will be testing and submitting.
Oh, great. Thanks, Jans.
You're welcome.
Okay, Deraje?
Yeah, thank you. So I started to read about LangGraph, basically the thing about state graph, nodes, edges, and the whole architecture. And then what I did step by step is that the first thing is evidence collection, that's on detective layers. So there is a repo investigator, like clone repository, and then perform AST parsing to identify identical models, operator usage, and kind of thing. And then a doc analyst that read PDF and then markdown documentations. So this confirms existence of required files and matches artifacts. And then on the intelligence layer, I mean, it's on judges. There are 3 judges actually. So each judge has to receive a deep copy of agent state. And then they have to also update the agent state so that the other nodes have to have the updated and latest data structure or information. And then I made it to evaluate evidence according to the persona specific logic, what the prosecutor, what the defense has to do, what the tech lead has to do. And then finally, what I did is just evidence and opinion aggregation. That means a fan-in, which means merge judge outputs into a single agent state. So like the merge logic is like, you know, operator add that is to append lists of evidence and opinions. Basically, the merge order may vary due to parallel treaties. So I think output may differ per run. I think that's an issue that I have to work on. And then regarding the state management and forensic logging, so I implemented a type safety schema validation for confidence scores between 0 and 1. And then trace logging on audit using Langsmith. That's what I did basically. So I can share my screen if that's if that helps.
I think it's okay. Just be, you know, I'm conscious of time, so that's one of the advantage being early, just so that it can actually people can receive a lot more feedback. But just more to say, it's what's like if you now attribute what is your work, like what's you know. What's the difference that you did this work compared to some other person, which is basically what we call decision? Where do you say like is where your strengths lies, or like where you know where your innovations are or your contributions are?
I think my contribution, I can say that, for example, I can take any repo. For example, I implemented my my repo and then other friends' repos, and it does work for any repository. The other contribution that I want to mention is that I try to use different models, Gemini, or Llama, and so it tries to, for example, on the judges node, I made it to try different models, and then also I made it that it can take any rubrics. I put it on the config loader, so you can simply amend the rubrics, and then it definitely works on different rubrics. Also, currently I made it to try round 4 models. So if one model fails, try to use another LLM model. Yeah, just LCF try catch kind of thing. Yeah, I think that can be a contribution. I think.
Okay, great. Thank you, Darache. Lul.
Am I audible?
Yeah.
So, firstly, I was firstly my idea, my plan was to understand the document and what exactly do we need to build. So what I did was I just gave it to an LLM and tried to understand each concept. Then once I have an idea what I try to build, I decided to go with an architecture where first I would build the necessary context. Then I would just send, then I would just fan out to 3 different nodes, that is investigating the repo and analyzing the document, the PDF document, and also inspecting the vision inspector. I was able to make the repo investigator in the doc analyst work not really good on the vision inspector part. I'm working on that. And what my idea, my understanding was, each node will, like when we provide tools to the LLM, it should make the tool course itself. So my plan was, okay, I'll generate a prompt based on what the rubrics it have. So the context loader first, context needs to be loaded. This is where the rubrics will be read from file. Then after they are read from file, I will just have some extra values in state, and basically the dimensions will be stored. And also, each node will have its own messages array. Like these are basically the conversations that the LLM has done. Then basically we first need to create I first created a prompt. Like for example, let's take the reconverse. So what I did was, okay, you have these dimensions, and based on some rules, you need to generate a prompt that would, okay, first you need to clone the repo or do the necessary, basically based on the rubric, you need to come up with a plan on how to do it. Each needs to be a step, and these are the tools that are available to you. And basically, you need to first create your own prompt, and you need to understand what you need to do. Then after that, I would just start after I generated the prompt, I would just make the investigator start the message. That will be the first message in one of the state, and it will start making two posts basically. So first it needs to make that's because of my understanding. So what I understood was each node should the LLM should itself decide when to call truth. So that's why I decided to go this way. And after that, the doc analyst will also do a bunch of stuff like, okay, it will load into memory and also understand, and also it will have its available tools. And basically, the three nodes will converge into an evidence aggregator that everything that's collected. This is what I have planned so far. And later on, I'll be working on the judges and how they will be actually gating like what they're supposed to do. I'm coming up with plans on how to do it. That will be basically my feature. Okay. Do you have questions, or should I proceed with the next question?
I think it's fine, but the only thing I would ask you is, so from today on, you are supposed to, I mean, this is where the actual project in some sense starts. Like, then you have to, it's not just only creating the agent that works. That's great. That's a requirement, right, to start. But then you have to be useful. So that means you have to be useful to your peers to actually provide critical feedback, right? And in that sense, you have to, the code has to work. The code has to be thoughtful, and the way that it collects evidence, and it also just basically organizes that and kind of is important. So you can follow, of course, the rubrics we say, but also you could just be designing your own rubric. So are you ready just to start contributing and providing value to your peers?
Yes. So currently, yes, I'm ready. And
so this is also for the previous speakers and all here. The most important part is, okay, you build it. Anyone sometimes can build it, but very few can achieve probably really, high quality feedback. And in that way, that it is partly the agent's architecture, it's partly the model, it's, all of that. And it's also being able to just present it such that the person can actually, so the feedback actually includes a suggestion, it could be. So it's that ability that you generate quickly and you evaluate them. Of course, there's token issue, like you can't generate all the time, but a friend can, like, at least 3 times you kind of actually give a person how they improve. It could be architectural, the feedback, so then you will learn also by reading that and how the agent actually in real life becomes useful and how that person improves so that they actually score high in the same way. Well, you will just see really live how value is generated, with AI, and that's the most important aspect as well. So yeah, great. Okay, thanks, Lul. Rafia.
Yeah. So hello, how are you doing, guys?
Hi.
Okay. So to start from my approach, I approached the system top-down. First, I decomposed it into governance layers like evidence, judgment, and synthesis. Then I defined strict typed state contracts before implementing any logic. I built forensic detectives first to ensure objective evidence collection, and then wired it parallel, like fan out and define in inland graph. Then layered dialectical judges with structured output enforcement, and finally implemented deterministic conflict resolution, which is not totally done yet, in the Chief Justice to guarantee governance integrity. So this is how I approached the system. So yeah.
Okay, so if you just say now highlights, the things that would be great because you did them versus someone else did them, which is basically decisions you make. What would you attribute the highest value decisions you made?
The highest value decision I made?
Yeah.
So yeah, the highest value I made is like I decided this time to test every single stage of my work. So testing it repeatedly is like the highest value decision I made this week, I would say. That yeah, I tested repetitively.
Great. Yeah. So just make sure to also highlight, I think this is the same for everyone, to highlight the highest value decisions you made that makes your implementation, stand out as part of like your report, as part of everywhere, and also in the Monday's presentation. Just make sure, and then the time that how consciously use the time, that means how much you have accelerated, quantify that, in part the acceleration you have achieved because of your workflow and where the gap you could improve. For example, your research methodology has improved over the last 1 week or 2 weeks because now you kind of learn certain pattern and you introduce something, and this actually allows you to accelerate a lot more and achieve in 1 hour more. So with AI, we're looking at that acceleration. So what can you, if yesterday you have done something in 2 hours and today you do it in 1 hour, that's like 100% acceleration, right? So being able to be conscious and always finding the pattern to be accelerated so that you get almost always the highest value return from your effort is important. So I think, yeah, okay, good. Thanks, Rafi. Jacob.
Can you hear me?
Yeah, we can hear you.
Good afternoon, everyone. To start with the first question, what important decisions have you made? I think the most important decision I think I made is to make it parallel, to make the true evidence proofing parallel, which means most of the time, if one evidence proofing goes after another, it might take time to finish both the PDF and the GitHub repo. So currently my project does those two investigations together at the same time parallelly. So this I think it's the best decision I made, which really reduces time, overall time that takes to finish. And also I was allocating my time for the first 2 days. I was doing a deep research on the project and what's expected from me. And yesterday I have started to code to start implementing it. And at the middle of my work, I faced some blocker. On the long chain website, I wasn't seeing my logged investigations, and it took me, I think, 1 to 2 hours to fix that. And now I have fixed it. Plus, I have tested my project on a GitHub repo. ChatGPT gave me some GitHub repo for testing, and also I have tested the project on my previous GitHub project I made before 1 year or 2 years. And I think somehow it works, but still there will be, it might need some improvements I should make. And I am allocating my time to make the testing, the giving result part very good in order to help my peer, I think. Is there any question?
Yeah, I think this is good. So again, I think that would have been my question is, how have you noticed acceleration in your setup?
Yes, I did.
Okay, so over from last week, you are kind of doing more in 1 hour. So if you
Yes.
quantify the per hour productivity, you are increasing, and that means you are, it's not just like you have increased the per hour activity, but then overall, then in 1 week. So it's the 1 hour, the 1 day, and 1 week, if you think of it that. So you are able to do more volume of work because of how you are improving. And so that means also expectation for next week that we can increase the intensity level high and still it can achieve and it can deliver.
Yes, related to last week's progress, my progress, I have really improved.
Yeah.
Can say.
Excellent. Okay. Thanks, Jacob. Peter?
Good afternoon, everyone. And as for
Good
the
afternoon.
question, what part of this? To start,
Yeah.
I was.
Yeah.
Continue.
Go on. So do you want me to, so the most important part is, like, let's say for now, just in the interest of time, like you look at the project, the decisions you made, some of them are natural, which is basically you have to understand them. And so they're more, you can look at how the time it takes you to understand and the kind of strategies and patterns you have developed. And then another one is like, then once you understand how you implement it, there's the actual implementation that takes time, as well as also deliberating on log reading and stuff. So just quantifying where did it take time and kind of getting where you are now. And the other one is what is the highest value decisions you made so that you feel like, okay, like this is your work, like this is your contribution.
So that most of the time that the project took from me is doing research, reading. So instead of going and reading documents, I decided to see videos and understand the concept. Writing the code was not hard. And after like writing the graphs, the notes, I decided to test each layer, like the detective layer, then the judge. So I think I spend most of my time on testing. And what was the other question? I'm sorry. Now do?
Sorry, the highest decisions you are making or the highest decisions you made already that kind of makes you feel good, as well as also value, that shows you value.
Looking at videos, tutorials on the first day after you present the the project, like the challenge, then going to and looking to videos and to see how lang chain, lang graph works, and then trying small projects, like small works on my own. Then again, tasting.
Yeah.
So
So
basically, I start coding.
again, is that the highest value for you, or is that the highest value for the work?
For me as well for the work.
But what would make it highest value for the work? Like, so what do you mean when we say highest value that you have made for the work? How would you understand it?
I don't think I get your question.
So when the highest value for you would be just to understand something, and anything that basically increases your, let's say, your ability to sell yourself as well as your ability to implement something, that's the highest value to you. And to a work, like if I hire you and then say, implement an evaluator, then the highest decision point you can make would be something like if you have implemented rigorous testing, or if you have
Yeah.
done kind of security analysis, or if you have considered future proofing, things like that would be what would I consider, value contribution. That because it's you and because you have thought about this and deliberated about this, that you have made some, important decisions that would make that benefits the work to be valuable. So in that sense.
So in that sense, I did test cases, test scenario for this challenge. So I tested each phases like the detective, the judge. I think that would be my best.
Okay. Yeah. Good. Yeah, I think why I'm asking is that today is this one, but I want you to keep like all of the questions that I'm asking today. I want everybody to start thinking about that. Okay, the AI does that. Everybody knows the AI doing everything, and even just it can create just in one. Somebody that just doesn't even know anything can just say create these, and if it doesn't work, say like using the Wagner loop or something, just like do stuff, and then they can make it work. But they will have, certain, because of that, that's a decision they made. The product will be maybe less important, right? Or maybe not production grade. But if a person that's really well thoughtful and deliberate and attention to detail and know how to debug, know how to understand the future, then that person is designing starting from architectural choices, decisions they make, to actual implementations, tech stacks, and all of that. All the end, they are making decision that adds value to the project, right? So I want you to be conscious of all of that steps beyond what the AI can just create. So I think those elements we should start thinking. So yeah, good. Anything you want to add, Mr. Martha? Oh, Betelem, you were speaking. So then we can go to Martha.
Good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
So what I was doing was first I try to understand the challenge, and also then I researched about what I'm supposed to do. Then yesterday I started implementing. So when I started first I try to plan out what I should do, what are the steps I need to do. Then in each steps, in each feature I do, I first try to understand what should the output be. So then I tell the agent what exactly it needs to do. Then it started writing code, and after that I tested it. So I did every feature that I did in a way. First I try to understand the output and what it should do. I prompted, then it builds, and I tested it. So I did that yesterday.
Yeah.
And
in terms of the speed up that you are gaining from week 1 to week 2, and the pattern that you're establishing, with the resources that you have, what are, like, if you just say the 2 most important changes you have made, what would that be?
So the most important change I made was, last week I tried to understand a lot of things first, then implement. But this time I try to first look at the overview, understand the whole project. Then if I need an extra to understand, I did that in every stage. So
That's very good pattern. Yeah. So knowing that knowledge is just not really something to maximize, it's democratized. So you just get it when you need it only.
Yeah. Yes.
And what would be the second pattern or way of work that improved your productivity?
I tested a lot. Last time I didn't test it. So this time I added every test in after every feature.
Excellent. Okay, thank you. Thank you, Marta. Nabil?
Okay, am I audible?
Yeah, you are.
Yeah, so I think I should start with the highest value. Most of the things been discussed already, but as someone who's learning about LangChain, LangGraph, and about AI as well, the best thing I could have done was to really focus on the architecture and to learn it. So whenever I got suggestions from the AI, and I always asked, why did we make this decision? What's the alternative? What's the benefit? What's the trade-off? So that's something I did not do on the previous projects, and this is something I really wanted to focus on here. It's very overwhelming in a way to learn and also like try to see outside of the box. I'm trying to cope up with both, and yeah, I think I'm doing okay. I've seen a lot of improvement from the last time, so I struggled a bit with the LangChain. I think it's because I wanted to get like an expert level understanding before I moved on. But as the time went on, I just went to some videos and then asked even the AI what were the core concepts that I should understand and for which tasks would they apply, so that like I can get like a realistic approach to these tasks and to know which concepts applied here, how the wiring would work, what's special about LangGraph, and so on. So the best value I think, is to focus on the architecture and the decisions for each step.
And are you ready, or do you feel confident in terms of contributing now that based on that understanding what you are building will contribute and make your peers repository kind of the evaluations that you will make on them kind of contributing value as well? Just that's what we call business value.
Yes, I mean, as it stands right now, it would not be the best, but the best for my peers, and I won't judge their repos perfectly because I have not yet implemented the judge section. But I think through the research and to see how I can improve it, I think I can contribute something that's going to be valuable to my peers.
Okay, and just a last question would be, in terms of the 1 hour, 1 day, 1 week kind of gain, speed gain, based on your patterns, like do you see a noticeable difference?
Yes, normally I would take like a month to do a project like this, but now due to the time constraint, I really need to focus on what's the most important thing, and my research skills and also the way I consume information has really changed. I try to apply whatever I learn immediately and not just retain it. So that's something that's really changed for this project.
Excellent. Thanks, Nabil. Efrata?
Can you hear me?
Yeah, we can hear you.
Good afternoon, everybody. Yeah, but can I share my screen for a second?
Sure.
All right. Okay, let me just share the entire screen. You asked about like what's the highest value that you added. So I've added this front end, and I tested it with my own repo, and it also uses local Llama, so Llama LLM, and then it gave me 4 for the score, which is out of 5, which is good. And I have like this, presentation, kind of like cool. Everything else is pretty much the same with everybody else. These days it's all about trying to be different and stand out. So usually what I spend my time is trying to be creative. So I like to research and read, watch podcasts, and maybe try to have fun as much, because it's all about creativity these days. Like you said, information is democratized, so everybody can have access to the information. But what you do with the information is what sets you apart from other candidates. So that's pretty much it.
Great.
You have.
And
I also have. Okay.
Yeah.
Oh, hold on. I'm sorry. I also have like a rubric preset. So I have like 3 rubrics. You can also add like custom rubrics as well. So depending on each rubrics, it will grade. It will give a grade out of 5. Okay, let me try with this one. I mean, it says 4, but it's out of 5, so I might need to
Yeah.
check.
This is really exactly the point, right? So, like, it's outputs with LLM. You don't need even to do all these complex things. You can just go to the LLM, say like, okay, I have this rubric, I have this code, read it, and just give me an evaluation, and it will just give you something, right? The point is that LLMs are good at giving you something. They will never say no. And the question is that most 99% probably are less valuable, let's say, and then some are very valuable. The point is really being valuable. And this is where like this is where you will taste between today and Saturday, as well as incrementally being valuable, and such that like you really make your peers kind of code actually a lot more valuable than they are. If you just grade them and give them really nice looking something and they don't use it, means nothing, right? So, and the same as like, then you start understanding if our rubric is giving you value, and if not, then that's where real parts where we are, like where you become, the output is what matters most than what is used to create the output. So I think it's useful. It's just good.
Yeah, exactly. So I think I got your point, right? This was what you were asking for.
Yeah, exactly. So then, that iterative process with your friends, so that the friends just confirm independently that your actual output is super insightful. And, of course, some of your friends are critical and some of them are not. And if you have a very critical friend, that's amazing. That's great, because then they don't just let you, yeah, like, that's amazing. They don't say that, like, I mean, it's crap. It's shit. It's crap. Then, of course, politely, right? So, but that one would make you improve a lot more. So I think being honest, being really thoughtful will make you better and make everyone around you better as well. So I think that's the part. Yeah. So we will just only do one more, so that I don't, you have like, you take at least 5 minutes, 10 minutes break. So we'll just end with Masarat. So Masarat.
Am I audible? Sorry, I'm
Yes.
outside. Oh, okay, thank you. I would love to present you on my screen, but I'm not at home. So for the first question, what part of your system do you understand the least? First, I want to say that I spend time the understanding the challenge and the overall idea of the digital courtroom of the model, and after that, I just focused on the building the first part, which then became clear to me. The least I understood is that how the different judge roles should think independently and then combine their opinions in smart way. So I think the main thing that is not confusing is not the code part, but the clear thinking of how the decision should be made, and that I think it feels unclear sometimes because I'm still shaping how I should reason it. And for the second question, what key decision do you more advanced? And then like that, that's what I have to do. And for the third question, after the interim, what new blocker should I realized that when multiple parts of this they need to be carefully coordinating, because it's something it's kind of they should work properly. So I'm focusing on that, and I'm solving it down, reviewing each steps carefully, and making it possible. That's all I'm trying to do.
Great. And just maybe if I ask you, what is the value that you have the key decisions you have made that you would call the highest value probably in this project that I'm creating or I'm giving?
Last week I did a mistake that not fully understanding the overall concept and have fully understanding. So this week I made a decision to have a full understanding of the challenge, and I did that already. And the project was really clear.
Okay, so a full understanding and its implications and all that. so that
Yeah.
whatever you do will translate into something useful. Okay.
Yes. Yeah.
Okay. Awesome. Thank you, guys. And I think the questions that I'm asking now here is not just only for the stand-up, and I want you to start thinking, especially in most of the stand-ups as well. Just make sure to highlight them, to start thinking with them, like thinking about like everybody knows AI does most of the work, including even when you research, AI can do lots of research and then present you. So what, like, of course, every question you ask is that is you. Other person may not be asking. So the more that becomes very useful, so that means you have established a pattern, then you stand out. The more you start really doing things much faster and quicker and deliver still something that's valuable, then you stand out, right? So, and basically when you focus on value more than on your learning, then you make value. So make sure to really understand the reality of it, that, just that understanding reality that you're it's not about you, it's about the value that you create. And you have a tool now, and everybody has access to that tool. So what makes you different is that, of course, you are curious. That curiosity will just translate into something, you do your work very hard and you take it serious. And then you also are open-minded. So you're kind of almost always thinking, what is really the core thing? What is something that AI could be not doing that I should be doing? I should be spending my time, for example, in really looking at all the traces such that, is it degrading as the turners are increasing, finding out issues. And then, of course, motivation and basically hard work first, which means like you actually are giving it time and you're doing a lot of this. And then motivation makes you do this again and again and again, right? So motivation is like a behavior. So a behavior for hard work is called motivation in some sense. So I think having that is very important. So I wish that we had more time, but there's in 10 minutes. So we'll just stop here. But yeah, almost always just if I know that there are more people raising hands from here on, I will try to at least distribute the time efficiently. But thanks everyone, and just keep this.